Alrighty guys, welcome back. It is that time of the Disney Lorcana sets where we're getting into our set championships. So I've been away for a couple of weeks, but we are getting back into the action today with some videos from the Gaming Arena set championships that has happened just this weekend. So we're going to get into our first round video here between Rob and UW, who started off our first round. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get the deck list from either player. So either of you out there watching and want me to get the deck list to share in a video, feel free to message me. But otherwise, we're just going to get in and watch some of this game. Now, just a little preface here that any of the comments, we're not attacking any players, we're just having a look at the plays that they made and seeing if we would do anything differently. And as always, if you disagree with what I think, I'm always open to have a good discussion and, help each other learn. So any other thoughts on what you might have done differently, put them in the comments below. Alrighty, let's get into this game here. Alright, so we just got our players shuffling up here, getting ready to start this round. Now, I can't quite remember what these players were playing here in terms of their colours, so it's going to be a bit of a surprise for all of us here. Again, didn't have their deck list to look at, so it's going to make it a little bit tricky to figure out what their game plan is with their deck, but I'm sure we can pick it up as we go. Now, these rounds were best of 2 with 55 minutes. So players get 3 points for a win and an extra point if they win both games. So we see on the right here, looks like we've got Steel Song. And then maybe Ruby Amethyst on the left there. So we'll just have a look at our mulligans. I'm not sure who's going first. Looks like both players are organising their mulligans. Rob electing to keep that Magic Broom as his 1-drop. I'm not sure Rob knows what he's up against, so it's going to be a bit hard mulliganing blind. Definitely a benefit being able to go first in this, having that advantage of going first while you're still a bit unsure of your opponent's deck. Definitely gives you time to adjust when you're at a disadvantage going second. So Rob really trying to highlight some of those 1-drop characters. It did look like he put a big Sisu back into his deck as well. So maybe not gunning so hard for that Flynn Rider Sisu turn 2-3. We see how there on the right kept the Aerial, just looking for some more songs and singers. He's got Cinderella as well by the looks of it, which we'll get down turn 1. Now, really tricky spot for Rob here. Having this Cinderella in play does put quite a threat on any 1-drop character he will put down. The Cinderella is able to sing a song that costs 3 or less due to its Singer 3 ability. So Rob's got to think hard about what he's going to do here. I think you definitely want something like a Diablo. That way, if UW is going to use his song, at least you get a draw out of it. But doesn't seem to have that. Looks like he's just going to be going in with the Chernobog's Followers here and pass it on over. Look at the Ursula Inc., which would suggest he has another 2 cost. Oh, maybe just going for the 1 cost Robin Hood. I think he does have that shift in hand, so maybe going for a turn 3 shift Robin Hood and sing the Whole New World. And yeah, we do see he comes down with the song to remove that 1 cost character. Really important in this matchup, removing some of that draw from Rob. Although with the Whole New World, you're not too concerned if Rob were to draw with it. But just helping keep that board clear from anything that might challenge his characters there. Yeah, and we see just coming down with the double broom on turn 2. Not fearing any of those songs that are going to be coming out from the Steel Song player. And it looks like his top deck to Zeus. Not going to be really what you want against 2 brooms. You definitely want something more like a Let the Storm Rage on. And it looks like we will be going for the Shift Whole New World play by the looks of it. Maybe not the Whole New World. I thought I saw a Whole New World in there, but looks like he's just gonna either play it slow and just quest, or maybe doesn't have the Whole New World. In which case, I'm wondering why he inked the Aerial. Definitely would have wanted to hold on to that if he didn't have the Whole New World. And I think you definitely want a whole New World now rather than later, before Rob can play down their hand a bit more. We see there the Diablo. Actually, it's going to burn both of these brooms here. Quite concerned about that Robin Hood coming in with the challenge. So I think currently it is 2 law to Rob, 3 law to W. Definitely would like to see that Diablo down earlier against Strength of a Raging Fire, but does have it now and no other cards to play. Looks like Rob's missing out on his curve a little bit here. Now we'll see where we go. Maybe W will be sensing a bit of a weakness in Rob's hand. And apologise if I'm getting your name wrong there on the right. Alright, looks like a bit of contemplation here. So, looks like Wimpy has a Zeus and another card we're not quite sure in the hand there. Either way, still putting the pressure on. 6 law now to Rob's 2, I believe. Sorry about not having the law tracker up. We do fix that later in the day. But for now, I will try and keep you updated as best I can. Alrighty, looks like Rob might have another Diablo in hand. It's got quite a few cards there. And Lady Tremaine there. Won't be able to play that just yet, but could be a good option for getting rid of that Robin Hood later down the line. Looks like we do have a 4 cost here. And there's the Rabbit. Going to be drawing another card for Rob. I think the worst thing for Rob here would be UW had a whole new world to sing. Really just removing that whole card advantage that he's built up here from the Brooms and the Rabbit. Alright, and yeah, I'm pretty sure that is a whole new world there, so interesting that we haven't seen that come down. Might be something that happens this turn. I think as the Ruby Amethyst player, you're not really threatening too much while your ink's still low, so I think definitely going on this aggressive, having the ink every turn and singing your songs to keep the board clear is definitely what you want. And trying to find that Pete on that critical 6 ink turn for Rob, so he can't play the Be Prepared on the next turn. We're going to see the challenge now, so Rob's going to get to draw another card and get 2 law for the challenge. We do see that he's been quite reluctant to play this whole new world. Maybe we'll see an ink and then along came Zeus this turn. Yep, there we go. So Rob's going to draw another card now. I think would have been really interesting if he actually challenged him with the Cinderella first and then sung the whole new world after Rob had drawn all these cards. So really just negating that card draw from the Diablo and the Rabbit. But we don't see that. He's just opting to hold that 1 card in hand. Maybe wanting to empty his hand before he plays it, get the most out of all of his cards. Alrighty, we see the goat come down for Rob. Going to be gaining that 1 law. We see Chernobyls as well. Now I think we have to see this whole new world come in now. There's not much else he can play in his hand at the moment, really. He's just going to play the Rapunzel. Rob still is at that 5 ink turn, so not too concerned about finding that Pete just yet. And we do see finally singing the whole new world. I think I would have liked to see that come in a few turns earlier, just put on the pressure a bit more. But we are going to see both players discard their hand. Rob discarding quite a large amount of cards there, looked like 4 or 5, maybe even 6. And resetting the card advantage back to 7 for both players. Alrighty, so looks like there's a Piglet there. I think that would be quite a good one to play. Force Rob to have that brawl to remove it, otherwise you're putting on a lot of pressure. Looks like he did not find any songs to try and remove this goat or the Chernobyls. Definitely would be nice to try and protect this Cinderella. You definitely want to keep all your singers on board for as long as you can. Especially if you find those Petes and shut down the Be Prepared. Basically, keeping your opponent's board in check whilst keeping your board relatively safe. Definitely the way to play this matchup. Yeah, and there we go. Unfortunately, not being able to find that song means that Cinderella will be able to be challenged and taken down by the goat. Now Rob's going into a 6 in turn. Be interesting to see. Goes for the Maui, so we'll get a good trade out of that. We'll have the option to draw a card from Robin Hood because of his ability. He will take that. And we do see another whole new world. Won't have anything to sing it next turn, so we'll probably just want to develop his board a bit more. Oh, and I think I saw an enchanted Robin Hood in that hand. Yeah, there it is. What a beautiful card that one is there. Alrighty, so Rob doing his best to manage the board. I think you definitely start looking a bit scary once this Steel Song run away with a wide board and you don't have access to be prepared. But at the moment, managing well with keeping it quite small. But this turn, you will be able to play a few more characters to widen his board and quest for 5. And we'll see what song he's able to get out of here. You'd probably want to look for something like a Storm Rage on. We just seem to actually grab the whole new world. I thought he already had one in hand, in which case you probably just want to leave that one to the bottom. It probably won't matter. I don't think you're getting to the bottom of your deck in this matchup, but you never know. In some of these games where you both have really good access to removal cards, you can get to the bottom of your deck, and sometimes every little card matters. And here we go. This is where we see the wide board. Unfortunately, wasn't able to find the Pete, which is definitely what you would have liked here, because you are quite concerned about a Be Prepared coming in. You do still have a few characters to widen your board, but it does look like he only has the 2 whole new worlds in the Smee in hand, so a Be Prepared here would be quite devastating. But it looks like Rob doesn't have it in his hand. He's thinking quite hard about this decision, which says to me that he doesn't quite have the card he wants. He does have to start taking down some of these characters though. And we'll probably have to see the goat challenge as well. Just going to quest with the goat here. Unfortunately, the lore tracker is just off the screen there, so we can't quite see. Does look there actually might be prepared there. So Rob, thinking quite hard about that decision, decides that he does need to be prepared, otherwise he might lose. Does get the other lore off the goat being banished, pushing him ever closer. So I think this is the power of the Ruby decks. They can really just swing it back in their favor. You know, your opponent can have 6, 7, 8 characters on board and all hope looks lost, and then bam, Be Prepared out of nowhere really swings the game back in their favor. And we've definitely seen that with some of these continental championships with Ruby decks really coming out on top, with Ruby Amethyst, Ruby Sapphire really showing their dominance. So it looks like we're going to have to hard cast the whole new world here. We'll still have a couple of ink left over. And then yeah, Rob losing another 6 cards here. You never want to hard cast a whole new world, but sometimes you have to, and if you're able to get a few characters down as well, and especially after your opponents just play to Be Prepared, so they don't have a board either, you know, there are worse times to have to cast a whole new world with your ink. And drawing into quite a few 1-cost characters means he's able to go wide on the board again. I think you definitely just don't want to see a big Sisu here. That empowered sibling clearing the board here is not what you want to see as the Steel Song player. Alright, we've got a Brawl coming in. I think Rob just needs to develop a bit more of a board here. See that Sisu in hand? They'll have a lot of strength now with the Steel Song player just playing a whole new world and getting 7 new cards. Probably going to be having 6 strength, which will deal with basically anything, except maybe a Cinderella Stout-Hearted with that resist 2, which I'm not sure if they're playing. Has seemed to come out of a few Amber Steel decks recently. We'll probably see a Flynn come down. Yep. So Rob trying to put on a bit of that aggressive lore here, with that Sisu having a 6 strength, or 7 now, and that Flynn possibly gaining some more lore at the start of the turn for him. So Daisy revealing that Friends will go to the bottom of the deck for Rob. But that's okay, he did just get 7 new cards, so he's probably not starved for card draw at the moment. Alright, so we do see the shift coming here. Definitely want to find something like an Along Came Zeus to try and take out this Sisu here, I think. Just going to go for the quest. I think that's going to put him very close to winning here. Not quite sure exactly how much lore he's on. And now we see the pizza. This is excellent timing here. Wanting to shut down that Be Prepared. Big Sisu will only be taking out 2 characters here, being the Daisy and the Piglet. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get the hand down low enough for where that Sisu didn't have the highest strength on the board. So Flynn is going to trigger for 3. Putting Rob quite close to winning here. Let's see how he can manage this board though. In turn, looks like he's not able to handle the board that this Steel Song player has put down. And we'll have to concede the game. And game 1 here going to the Amber Steel player. Showing the power of those songs and a whole new world. And just how they were able to use their cards that they got off them better than their opponent. We've seen the Steel Song deck really go out of favour in the meta recently, in place of the Diggy Diggy Hole deck. So it's good to see there's still a few firm believers in its strength in the meta, and can still do well and take down the top deck, Ruby Amethyst. So now we'll have Rob a chance to go first in the second game here, so hopefully that'll mean he'll be able to get the 1 cost character down and not be removed by the Cinderella. And we'll see what the Amber Steel player decides to do with their whole new world this time. Will they hold on to it and wait until they've gotten rid of all the cards in their hand, or will they be a bit more aggressive with it? I think the main thing the Steel Song player is going to be trying to do in this game is getting that Pete on turn 6 and just get as wide a board as possible. I think Rob's going to want to try and find some of those 1 cost characters and then try and aim for a Fox on 3, just in case a Daisy does come down. And we do see a Daisy there at the front of the hand, and also the Cinderella Stout-Hearted, so they are choosing to play this. Definitely won't need it this early in the game, so looking to mulligan that away. But otherwise, seems like they have quite a good curve. They've got the Daisy on 1, Smee on 2, I believe a Ariel on 3, perhaps. And we've got Ruby Amethyst just mulliganing away 3, so must be pretty happy with their hand. Got a few 1 cost cards so they can get there early. And I imagine they would already have a Fox, as that's probably something you're wanting to look for pretty early in this matchup. Or even a Brawl. More so if you're going second with the Brawl, just so you can get rid of that Ariel when they come down. But I think going second, you want to try and play more into that aggro game plan. Get some Daisies down and hope your opponent can't deal with it. And there we see the fist bump, signalling the start of game 2. Let's see if Rob can make it a 1-1. So we see the Broom come down, going to be pretty safe. Looks like they drew back into the Cinderella. Not going to need it this early. Alrighty, now we do see the turn 1 Daisy. Definitely the one you want going second. Cinderella's not going to be doing as much going second when your opponent has already had a chance to play their 1 drops down. So it would be interesting to see if there is a Flynn in the hand for Rob. So questing for 1 here, giving himself the option to banish after he plays his next character. Or maybe just has to snake here. Looks like it will be exerting 1 ink for Diablo. Will be banishing to draw, interestingly. Maybe looking for another 1-drop. As there wasn't really much threatening this broom on the next turn. I think I would have liked to see Rob maybe keep that broom in play. I think missing the 1-drop there isn't the end of the world. And that 1 ink or 1 lore can always come back to matter in the end. So we see the Cinderella coming down. They realise it's too late for that one now. Interestingly, quest with the Daisy last. I think a good habit to get into as a Daisy Duck Amber player is to quest with your Daisy first if you know you're going to quest. That way you can see what card your opponent gets and plan around it. Although I imagine they're always going to be playing this Piglet and inking the Cinderella. But it's always good to have as much information as possible before you make your decisions. Alright, looks like a quest. So hopefully Rob was able to find that fox. Because that'll be important for taking this Daisy out. We do see a crab. A Challenger 3 wouldn't be enough to take out the Daisy, unfortunately. Looks like we have the fox there. Does go into the ink, so imagine we have another one. Actually just going to go for the Brawl on the Piglet. Also a very good option. As you don't mind the Daisy sticking around if it's just going to keep giving you cards. And Piglet's definitely that high threat at the moment. Are we going to have another aerial come down maybe? Another Daisy Duck and then that Smee as well. Just wanting to go on that aggressive route. Now this is the interesting thing about Daisy Duck in this deck. Is if you're able to quest with them and give your opponent 2 cards on the same turn using a whole new world, you basically remove that Daisy Duck's disadvantage of giving your opponent cards. So I think this is definitely one of the best positions for this Daisy Duck to be in this Amber Steel deck, along with a whole new world. So it'd be interesting to see if Rob has another fox here. I imagine he would have kept one to try and deal with this Daisy Duck. And there we go, we do see the fox coming down. And going to replay that Diablo. So Rob's looking like he's in a pretty good spot at the moment. Amber Steel player's only just on 4 lore at the moment. And he's got a pretty good board presence and he's slowly making his way to 7 ink. See the aerial come down. Probably going to be looking for something like a Storm Array John for next turn perhaps. Have something to take out this Madam Mim Fox. Would have preferred to have it this turn. But I think that's alright. Looks like he does have that Pete for a few turns time. Be interesting to see what happens. I imagine he's just going to quest for 4 here. Again, questing with that Daisy Duck first will give you the most information. Like if this were to reveal a fox here, you might change how you play the turn. Alright, W running away to 8 lore. We see another library in the hand for Rob. I imagine he's going to have to take down this Daisy Duck with the fox. Would have been good to see that crab kept, then you could actually use that on the Diablo to take out the Smee. Instead we see he's kept the library instead. Let's see if he just uses the 2 ink to move both characters there, just try and work on some of that draw engine. I think in this matchup you're not as concerned about drawing cards. You know, your opponent's basically going to have to play a whole new world at some stage just to keep up with the cards. And you do still have access to things like Rabbit, which I do see there in Rob's hand. So I imagine this fox is going to have to go into the Daisy and then we'll just be questing with the Diablo. Diablo quests, putting Rob up to 3, I believe. And then the challenge into the Daisy Duck, I imagine, will come through. Yep, there we go. We see that challenge. Now, the cool thing about the library and the Diablo is that if it's banned, you actually get to draw 2 cards, one for the library and one for Diablo's ability. So, Rob's going to have no shortage of cards in this game. It's just, will he be able to use them in time before the whole new world comes down? So he's going to sing that Storm Rage on, take out the fox. The fox will draw from the library. Now imagine we're going to see the Piglet and Smee come down here. You probably want to keep your Pete's for next turn once Rob goes to 6. So probably the Piglet and the Smee. And probably won't ink here. I think the Pete's are so important from stopping that Be Prepared. You really don't want to be inking too many of them if you don't have to. Alrighty, Rob with a handful of cards there. No shortage of options. Let's see what he decides. Crab here would be pretty good. A Brawl would even be okay to take out this Aerial and slowly just whittle, or this Piglet, slowly just whittle away at the board there. Just hard cast Friends. Maybe he's just looking for that Be Prepared for next turn, but little does he know, UW actually does have the Pete back-to-back turns. The big Susu will definitely help if he's able to get it out. But the 2 Smees will actually play around that, so wouldn't wipe out the entire board. We see Diablo Quest going up to 5. So UW has currently 8 on the board, and currently at 8 currently. So playing this Pete. I believe there should be 2 damage on that Smee. Oh no, Piglet is actually a captain, I forgot. So Smee not taking any damage at the end of the turn, thanks to that Piglet, the Pooh Pirate captain. So we see another 8 up to 16. Putting the pressure on. Rob gets 2 from the libraries, going up to 7. Not able to play that Be Prepared. Probably looking for something like a Brawl to take out that Piglet at the very least. Brawl and a Crab probably wouldn't be too bad. But he's probably going to need a little bit more than that, I think. We'll need to clear 3 of these characters. One being the Piglet and Smee. And I don't think I see a way for him to do it. He did have to be prepared, but unfortunately wasn't able to play it because of the Pete. And that will be a 2-0 victory to the Amber Steel player, showing them just how it's done and that this deck cannot be replaced by the Diggy Hole version. So a nice 2-0 start there for our Amber Steel player. Turns out that holding on to the whole new world in game 1, they sensed weakness in the hand of the Ruby Amethyst player, and it paid off. So we'll jump into the second round in the next video. If you have any thoughts on how you might have played this matchup a little bit differently to me, or even the players, put it in the comments below. Otherwise, like the video, subscribe, then you'll get notified when the next round comes up, and hopefully we'll have a few deck lists to look at as well from some of the players. There's a total of 5 rounds for this event and 3 in Top Cut, so we're going to have 8 videos of good Lorcana action showing off some pretty cool decks. So stick around to the channel and we'll see you in the next video.